What is an ecovillage? Perhaps, instead of what, a better place to begin is when, as ecovillages are really as old as humanity itself. For 99.9% of our quarter-million-year evolutionary history, humans lived in small-scale, low-impact communities. Only since the Industrial Revolution did access to fossil fuels and changes in human activity lead to an explosion in both our population and our ecological impacts. Today, global crises such as climate change, resource depletion, and rampant social inequity are threatening humanity's very survival. In our increasingly individualistic, mobile, and consumer-oriented societies, we have forgotten what it means to be in community. We are living in a time of amnesia. Yet, more and more of us are waking up from our collective postmodern nightmare of separation and remembering our fundamental interdependence with each other and all life. In this time of transition, ecovillages are refashioning ancient stories and creating new ones for how we can live environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just lives together. As such, ecovillages represent perhaps the most integrated community responses to our global crises, and they're just plain fun. Weaving thousands of these communities together, the Global Ecovillage Network, or GEN, was launched in 1995 during the first International Ecovillage Conference at the Findhorn Foundation in Scotland. GEN offers networking and financial support to ecovillages in 5 transnational regions: North America, Europe, Latin America, Africa, and Oceania and Asia. In 2001, GEN was granted consultative status with the UN's Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, and is becoming a key player in implementing the UN's Sustainable Development Goals and climate agreements on local levels. In 2005, 2 partner organizations, NextGen and Gaia Education, were launched. NextGen is a network of youth involved in the global ecovillage movement, and Gaia Education has developed curriculum on sustainable community design and has offered courses to almost 20,000 people in over 50 countries. Today, GEN defines an ecovillage as an intentional, traditional, rural, or urban community that is consciously designed through locally owned, participatory processes in all 4 dimensions of sustainability: social, culture, ecology, and economy, to regenerate their social and natural environments. Regardless of what definition one uses, it is clear that ecovillages are living laboratories, beta test centers, for a more equitable, just, and regenerative future. They are very much in process, creating lifestyles that are both high quality with equitable access to resources and power, and low impact with minimal ecological footprints. So perhaps another definition of an ecovillage could simply be a community striving to live well and lightly together. Thinking about it this way, one can see there are actually 2 directions toward the ecovillage model. Ecovillages within developed, financially rich countries are typically intentionally created, and ecovillages within financially poor, 2/3 world countries are generally indigenous traditional communities. Intentional ecovillages in financially rich countries typically strive to lower their ecological impacts below local and global carrying capacities while maintaining high-quality lifestyles. Such ecovillages also try to understand the economic and political systems that put them on top, and often engage in social equity and justice work in their neighboring communities, their nations, and the world. Traditional ecovillages in financially poor countries typically strive to elevate themselves above an equity baseline while maintaining small ecological footprints. They desire greater access to wealth and broader ability to affect political and social change, but at the same time, they seek to preserve their local resources and cultures, which often hold deep wisdom for how we can thrive in a post-carrying capacity world. Ecovillages seek common ground, solidarity, and healing between these intentional and traditional pathways in our quest to create viable models of sustainable human-scale communities. In this way, ecovillages are helping demarcate the livable zone, above an equity baseline and below carrying capacity, in which all humans must enter if we are to survive as a species. Being optimistic then, perhaps we can say all human settlements are nascent or developing ecovillages. In addition to traditional and intentional ecovillages, Jen also recognizes and supports urban eco-neighborhoods that are reinventing life in the city to become more sustainable, collaborative, and participatory. Given over half of humanity currently lives in cities, many of which are located on coasts threatened by rising sea levels, this is a daunting yet vital initiative. Because every ecovillage is designed by people who live there according to their vision, context, culture, and interests, no two are alike. In fact, their diversity is astounding. Most range in population from 20 to 150 individuals. Those with fewer than 20 members are thought of as eco-communities, and traditional ecovillages often have thousands of members. Most are residential, and some might be better regarded as eco-projects, which are initiatives of various sizes that inspire, educate, and foster ecovillage lifestyles, such as green schools, permaculture centers and agroecological farms, transition initiatives, social and community enterprises, etc. Some have a common purse, others disconnect individual from communal income and expenses. Some are secular, some are religious, most are spiritual, with residents following their own paths. Surprisingly, few strive for complete self-sufficiency, and most are well connected within their bioregions. Some even reject the label of ecovillage, saying it falsely implies they've fully manifested their vision. While models vary widely, ecovillages all share an intention to develop 4 dimensions of sustainability: social, cultural, economic, and ecological, embodying whole systems design. What does this look like? Well, common social features include responsive, inclusive, and transparent decision-making and group facilitation, access to holistic education and healthcare for all ages, embracing cross-cultural diversity, and more. Common ecological features include appropriate technologies and renewable energy systems, organic agriculture and community-based food systems, habitat restoration and stewardship activities, and more. Common cultural features include opportunities for individual and collective artistic expression and celebration, mindfulness practices such as meditation and yoga, respecting cultural traditions that support human dignity, and more. Common economic features include fair trade and ethical systems of exchange, support of local economies and equitable access to wealth, social and sustainable entrepreneurship, and more. And finally, bringing this all together through whole systems design, ecovillages typically try to learn from nature, build networks and alliances for mutual support, honor traditional wisdom, as well as innovate new lifestyles and cultural stories, and more. In general, ecovillages strive to nurture members' growth and freedom within healthy communities and ecosystems. They recognize there are many paths forward and see themselves as experiments in which we are empowered to invent the future and to learn from our mistakes, both individually and collectively. Members are encouraged to question the status quo, network with others, and make their own choices. While this all sounds well and good, it's important to note that ecovillages are not utopias. They're not heavens on earth, as any member of one can tell you. Real people, like you and me, are developing these unique communities, often under very difficult conditions. Common challenges include inadequate financial or human resources, restrictive zoning, local fears and misconceptions, and even language barriers within these often very international communities. Ecovillages encounter the same hurdles any new business faces, while at the same time building residences, decision-making structures, and interpersonal relationships. This is hard work. In addition, one can easily find more successful or cutting-edge renewable energy facilities, green buildings, organic farms, and even decision-making processes outside of ecovillages. These communities are unique and relevant not because of these individual components, but because they are trying to put the pieces together into human-scale communities, into holistic solutions that are greater than the sum of their parts. The human journey is far from over. Just as the internet and other technologies are expanding our collective intelligence, perhaps ecovillages are pushing the boundaries of our conscious evolution as a species. Ecovillages are really creating new cultures, new stories about what it means to live in ways that not only sustain, but in fact regenerate the social and natural fabric of life. As John Lennon said, "You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one." Millions of changemakers and communities around the world have devoted their lives and are working every day to manifest these visions. The world needs ecovillages, and ecovillages need you. Come help create the change you wish to see in the world.